Oh my, just oh my. I don't even. So basically, this is about laid back as you could possibly get for an anime. There's really pretty much no conflict, no big secret on what's going on or how things are happening, and the biggest people who are going to have an interest in this are people who don't really ever go camping, so they kind of get an idea about what it takes to go camping.
I guess. All right. The last show we're going to be talking about is Yuru Camp Tent.
Big D, take it away.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't have the deltas on this on this slide because I had to figure out a font that would show up in Photoshop. But there is Yuru Camp, and it was a triangle, and we're like, oh, that's delta. And then I saw the intro, and no, it's a tent. So I'm like, oh, okay, it's a tent. That makes sense because they're camping. I really, really like this show. It will definitely bore you to tears.
Saying that it's in like general for people or just me?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of thought so.
It is exactly what we had talked about before. There's this one girl who likes to camp and look at Mount Fuji. And she rode a bike to a campsite and set up a tent and then sat and watched Mount Fuji and read for most of the episode. There were little points where they cut away from that to, she's like, oh, I gotta use the restroom. And I'm like, oh man, she's gonna have to find a bush or something. And then she walked over to the building where she rented, like, where she like paid admission to the camp and like went into the restroom. I'm like, oh. This is modern camping. Okay.
You're like, you gotta use the restroom. You're like, oh, conflict. She's gotta find a place to go. Nope. She just walked right into a building. I'm good.
She just walked right up the hill to the campsite, to the administration building, and just went in. And I'm like, oh, it wasn't that far away. So yeah, as she went there, there was like this girl, like laying on a bench in front of the restrooms and just knocked out. She got her boots off, sitting next to her, and she just curled up in a ball and just drooling all over the bench, just knocked out. And I'm like, okay. Then she goes back to the campsite and starts setting up. It starts getting cold. So then she's like, I need to set up a campfire. So then she starts gathering wood. And then they cut away, and the narrator's like, she's getting pine cones because that's good for kindling. The way you build a proper fire is you get stuff to burn first.
Basically, it's exactly like you were talking about with that killing whatever. It's kind of like doing the kids show thing, huh?
Yeah, I'm like, no, not again. But after like a couple sentences, I'm like, oh, so that's how you build a campfire. So I was actually learning stuff. So I'm like, okay, that was useful. That's fine. I wasn't like absorbed in the story because I'm just watching her camping. So it wasn't really much to cut away from. And they kind of fit it in okay. It wasn't like run and cut away and she's a badger because of this, then come back and just raw. It was just she picked up a pine cone and they're like explain the pine cone. I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. So they explain how to make a campfire, and I'm like, I know how to make a campfire now. Then after they explained it, then she set one up. So I'm like, they kind of could have just cut to the part where she was already done. But so she set that up, and I'm like, oh, okay. So now he explained it, and then I actually saw it like actually being done. So I'm like, now I really know. Then something happened again, and she walked back up to the building, and the girl She's no longer on the bench. She's like down at the corner of the building on the ground, still asleep. I'm like, she's having a really good nap, I guess. So then, what was it? It gets dark, and she's like, oh crap, it's dark. So she pulls out a flashlight or a lantern. That's what she pulls out a lantern. And as she lifts the lantern up, because it's been a while, so like it went from like sunset to like nighttime. So then she walks out and she was like, I wonder where that girl is. And she looked and she's like, oh, okay, the girl left. And I'm like, okay, cool. I was kind of worried about her too. Then she lights the lantern and lifts it up, and the girl is right in her face, staring at her, crying. She freaks out. She's like, ah, and runs to the camp. The girl's behind her like, ah, don't leave me.
Oh God.
They both end up at the camp, and she's kind of sitting there like crying and like, oh, could you help me? And she's like, I just moved to the city, and somebody told me that you could see a nice view of the of Mount Fuji, and I got here and it was covered by clouds, so I couldn't see it. It was a stupid thing, and then I fell asleep, and now I don't know how to get back home. So then she's like, well, do you have a cell phone? She's like, oh, cell phone. She's like, I don't have my cell phone. And then she's like, what about this? And then like, so basically she's stuck. And then as she's like crying and like trying to ask for stuff, her stomach's just like raw. So she's like, would you like one of these? And she's like, oh, okay. And then she starts to cook. She has cups of ramen with her. So then the other the camper starts cooking, and she has a campfire, but then she also has this like little like cooking contraption. It's like a pot and like a little gas burner under it. And like me looking at it, I'm like, I don't know what that thing is. And if she turns it on, I'm like, oh, it's a stove, I guess, camping stove. I'm like, that's kind of cool. And the other girl's like, why don't you use a pot and cook it over the campfire? Why are you using that? And she's like, well, then it'll burn my pot and it'll get soot all over it. And I'm like, it's like me and the other girl at the same time are like, oh.
Oh, good Lord.
So she makes food for both of them, and the other girl, like it's curry ramen, which I'm like, I've never heard of that combination to begin with, and then I've never heard of it as an instant thing. So I'm like, that's interesting. So then she's like, just devouring it, and I'm like, she was very hungry. And then the clouds part away from Mount Fuji, and they both were like, ah, it's so amazing. And a couple other things happen, and then she's like, I remember my sister's phone number. So then they call her sister. The sister comes and picks up the other girl. They leave. Before they actually leave completely, she runs back. She's like, here's my phone number. We should go camping again. And then she leaves. And the sister was like, thank you for taking care of my silly little sister. Here's a giant bag of kiwi. And then they leave. I'm like, well, she replaced the ramen that she gave to the girl. But
It's a giant bag.
yeah, I'm like, that was odd.
You know what? There is nothing about what you said that wasn't so far in this entirety of what it is that you have watched. Because, oh my. Oh my. I don't even. So basically, this is about laid back as you could possibly get for an anime. There's really pretty much no conflict, no big secret on what's going on or how things are happening, and the biggest people who are going to have an interest in this are people who don't really ever go camping, so they kind of get an idea about what it takes to go camping.
I guess.
I mean, that's kind of what I see in this. I'm just like, if you really want to know what camping is all about, learning a little bit about what happens, here you go. Have fun. Yeah. Enjoy a nice, relaxing camp. Like, no storms, no, they were too far away from civilization. They were hungry and didn't have any food. No, none of that. No, 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 no.
Like, you need food, just walk up to the gift shop and
Walk
buy
up
some
there.
food.
Get some food. If you remember the number of how do you get home, just go up there, let them know. Like, oh my god, just, oh my god. I don't even know. I don't even.
So, at the very beginning of the show, they kind of did like a flash forward where they basically show a scene of all of the friends that they're going to meet all camping together. So I was like, okay, cool. And then it kind of cut back to just one character and like her camping experience. So what I'm thinking they're going to do is, because I think there's 5 characters total, they're going to cut to like each one and have like a day in their life and camping and how they kind of all meet each other. And then like the second half will just be their little laid back adventures. But I'm fine with that. I like it. It's like the most laid back show in history.
Yep. I'm pretty sure your assumption would be right, and I would be so incredibly bored with it. I would find myself skipping just to see if something happened. Are they camp? Yep, still camping. Yep. Nope. Well, it's still good. Nope. Yep. Everything's fine. Nope. Oh, they're done. Okay. Watch a whole episode in like 2 minutes.
Yeah. So, yeah. I really like the show, and I'm gonna continue it. It is, I think, on Crunchyroll. So, if anybody wants a chill show, there is one right there.
Oh yeah, no, I remember seeing it there, and I remember going, "Yep, nope." I want to see that fight. I want to see what happens there, because you know there's going to be a conflict there. It's going to happen. Yeah. And then they're like, "Well, we're glad you enjoyed that. Now here's some Blizzard men."
I really hope that they still like are getting more licenses, because it's good to have these big companies in the industry. So
I don't know about that.